So you've decided to buy a cinema camera and now you can't decide which one? Well, in today's episode of The Backlot, we're hopefully going to help you figure that out. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Wild 7 Studios Backlot, your home for all things indie filmmaking, gear, tips, tutorials, so much more. We go over vintage lenses, cameras, all that fun stuff. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Chris. If you're new to the channel, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. We've got lots of cool videos coming your way, fun stuff, a lot of BTS, cool videos coming your way. So, today is a fun one and one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and that is going to be cinema cameras, and specifically which one you should buy. I am a gearhead, a big time gearhead. There's a term in the film industry called GAS, and that stands for Gear Acquisition Syndrome. I have it bad. I've got terrible GAS, really, really bad GAS. I want all the cameras, all the lenses, all the bodies. I want it all. I love filmmaking, and I just see tools and things that open new doors and possibilities, and I want to get my hands on all of them. I love it all, and there are very few things I love more than cameras themselves. I am a huge, huge fan of cameras. I'm a fan of what they do. Capture devices are really fantastic, and they've gotten pretty amazing recently. You know, since the advent of HD cameras and digital cameras, they've really come a long way, where we had 1080p and 720p and 480p images being produced by these cameras, to now we have 8K and 17K and 12K. And these absolutely ridiculous resolutions that are being able to blow up onto big screens and just look amazing, you know? So within all that clutter, within all this craziness and all these new cameras that come out here, you have 4K and 6K, 8K and all the Ks. Which camera do you get? You know, which one is right for you? And in today's episode, hopefully we can help figure that out. So start off with the biggest question and the most obvious question. And that's gonna be, what is your budget? How much money do you have to spend on a camera? That's a big, big question, and honestly, kind of the most important one, because these cameras are huge investments. If you're watching this video and you're at this place, this really isn't a video for consumers. This really isn't a video for someone who's gonna do vlogging trips. This is for a professional. This is for someone who's investing in their career and is hoping to make money off of these cameras, who is going to need this for work on a daily or weekly basis at the very least. So, budget is a big one, but it's not the end all be all when buying a camera, because you have to think about peripherals beyond that. 9 times out of 10, the cinema camera you're going to be looking at, the package you're going to be looking at, is going to be a body and maybe house power, and that's about it. Seriously. That's all you usually get with these cameras, and sometimes you don't even get house power. That's how crazy they are with what you get. A lot of times when you get the box, you get a manual, maybe a USB connector or something for firmware updates, and then the camera body itself. We here at Wild 7 Studios have the Sony FX6 and a Sony FX3, and we absolutely love them, but they weren't what they cost, you know? The Sony FX6 right now currently costs about $7,000 if you're going to buy it from a site like B&H or Adorama. It's significantly more than that to own an FX6. You need power to power the camera on. You're going to need media. And anyone who knows CFast Express cards Type B, the ones that Sony FX6 and FX3s take, aren't cheap at all. And they're not readily available, and there's not a lot of them out there. So renting them sometimes becomes difficult even too. So you really need a lot of extra money beyond the money that you're going to need to purchase the camera. You're probably going to need glass, support, a tripod, so much more. In reality, every camera is probably going to cost you double what it actually says it's going to cost to get that thing up and running. So if you're looking at a $10,000 camera, you're probably going to need close to $10,000 worth of accessories to get it up and going. It's not the case for every single camera, but a lot of them, yeah, it kind of is, unfortunately. Our Sony FX6, we have a Tilta cage on it. That was a couple $100. Our Sackler tripod, that was about $3,000. You know, each of the G Master lenses is $2,000, $3,000. If you took those things and put them aside, they actually cost more than the body itself. So it's something to think about and be aware of. One thing too, you want to be aware of is and this is kind of an interesting one in a term you may not always hear or think of when you're hearing cameras, but ecosystem. We at Wild 7 have an FX6 and an FX3. The reason we have both those cameras is because they share lenses, they share cards, they fit within an ecosystem, so the two of them pair really well together. They both shoot S-Cine gamut, so we can get very close and matching images from both cameras that look basically identical every time we shoot. There are differences between the cameras. The FX6 has SDI in and SDI out ports, which is really nice. I'm not a fan of HDMI. I think HDMI is kind of a crappy port. You get really bad signals. It's not very safe. I prefer BNC and SDI every day over HDMI. The other big difference between the FX6 and the FX3, and I really absolutely think it is worth the price difference, is the internal ND filters. Yeah, the internal ND filters are a big deal. I can just take my FX6 out and go shoot anywhere, anytime. That's something you need to consider, and I know a lot of people do consider. It's a make or break for them with camera purchases. Does this camera have internal ND filters? And as someone who shot with cameras that have them and don't have them, it's a pretty big deal, honestly. It really is. If you're shooting commercials, if you're shooting documentaries, social media content, anything like that, where you have to be fast and mobile, the internal NDs are a lifesaver. I've worked several jobs where a lot of it is capture. It's go around and film, documentary style stuff. That's really important to be able to change your exposures really quickly within the camera and not necessarily on the lenses. I recently helped shoot a documentary down at the Orpheum here in downtown LA. And it was the end of May when we were shooting, and it was bright and sunny outside and really dark inside in the theater. So it was kind of crazy having to shoot that one. And I was on the FX3 and a gimbal. So I was really missing my internal NDs. It was kind of obnoxious. A lot of times I had a cut. I couldn't get a shot going from inside the theater to outside the theater. And I know it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is a little annoyance and something to consider. You know, if I could have only bought one camera, either the FX3 or the FX6, it's the FX6 every single day, every single time. Some of the other things that you want to consider too, depending on what you're doing, is does the camera have XLR inputs or XLR ports? If you're planning on shooting documentaries, if you're planning on shooting interviews, things like that, we use our FX6 for everything. We use it for small projects, for big projects. It is shooting me right now. That's what it is doing. But this this camera is also on some feature films this year with some big name A-list stars. So this camera does a lot. It does from the very, very, very little like YouTube videos to cinema that's going to be in theaters later this year. The FX6 is one of the most versatile cameras I think ever made. I absolutely love it and adore it. And for us here at Wild 7, it really was a perfect camera. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, that we shoot big cinema with it and the small things with it, is because the FX6 kind of falls in the middle ground and does something beautiful. Some of those cameras, some of your higher end cinema cameras don't have XLR inputs. They just don't record sound the way it's meant to be recorded. They'll record what's called scratch audio, which is just really poor, low quality audio that helps your editor in post sync audio, or the assistant editor, whoever's doing that, sync up audio so that it's in tune. A lot of the programs like DaVinci and Adobe Premiere have internal tools that will basically catch the waveforms and sync them up in post, making syncing sound incredibly easy. But those cameras weren't meant to record sound or capture sound. They were just meant to get that scratch sound for syncing up. The FX6 is a little bit different. I am currently plugged in right now to the XLR above, right here, right there in the microphone. It is plugged in and I am basically recording right into the camera. I don't want to have to sync it up. I don't want to record on two devices. I'm not moving. The camera is not moving. Nothing's moving. We're pretty stable here. So that was one of the reasons why we got the FX6. For us at Wild 7, it was the perfect camera. It really was at the time. I think we're outgrowing it a little bit, but I absolutely love and adore our FX6. And just a little disclaimer and a little note in here. I love Sony. We at Wild 7, we love Sony. We are Sony fanatics. We are big fans of Sony. We love Sony cameras, Sony lenses. We love Sony audio equipment. Sony monitors are amazing. We love Sony. The people at Sony DMPC here in Los Angeles, that's the Digital Media Production Center, they have been quite kind to us. They've been great to us. They've been fantastic. So if you hear me talking about Sony in a very loving way, that's because I do. I really do like Sony, and I like the people who work at Sony. They are fantastic people who make fantastic products for the filmmakers. They listen to the filmmakers, they listen to the teams, and they really do try to support the filmmakers making the stuff with their products. So I love Sony, just a disclaimer and to let you know that. And they've helped us out on projects in the past. Most recently, Scream Queen, they lent us one of their Buranos to test out on it. And it was an awesome camera, despite what you might hear a lot of the tech weenies saying. Yeah, a lot of them get obsessed with, oh, it doesn't do this, or it doesn't do that, or it didn't do this when it came out. Get over it. I mean, go look at the image, go shoot something with it. Spend a day, spend an hour with the camera. Don't listen to some dork on the internet like me. Go figure stuff out on your own. If you do, and in my opinion, 9 out of 10 people who have taken the Burano for a spin love the Burano. So that's just one of my little notes here. Not trying to sell anything for Sony, although I do love Sony. Another thing that you have to talk about, and I brought it up earlier, was all these Ks, 4K, 6K, 8K, all that stuff. Our FX6 here only shoots 4K. Shoots 4K DCI. That's about the highest resolution it'll go. It doesn't go beyond that, and we frankly don't really need that. We're not shooting a lot of green screen stuff. We're not shooting a lot of VFX heavy stuff. We don't necessarily need that extra resolution. It might be nice to have 6K or 8K resolution. Maybe when we upgrade to a Burano and an FX5, that'll be our next pair of cameras that we upgrade to. We'll worry about it then. You know, that'll give us a little more latitude on some of our features. It'll allow us a little more room to adjust in post and do some other things. But yeah, at the time, we don't really need beyond that. And I don't think it's the end-all, be-all when it comes to cameras. I think it really depends what you're doing and where you're going to send your stuff out to. I mean, for some people, open gate is really important. You know, the ability to shoot the entire sensor. And the reason you might want to shoot the entire sensor instead of just like a boxed in area of the sensor is you might be shooting something for different mediums. A couple years ago, I was helping work on a project, and it was for a big makeup company. And we were shooting everything on the Red Monstro. And I believe we were shooting open gate. Don't quote me on that. I believe we were, though. And the point is we were shooting 8K and all the way wide open because the ads were going to go onto YouTube, and then they were going to also go onto social media. So they were kind of framing everything at the same time twice. And everything that was going to go onto YouTube, all the edges was just filler. It was all just set decoration and design. The story was always dead center in the middle, and that was what was always going on. But shooting it on that camera allowed us to shoot it once, and that was it. Just to pass through once, shoot it, all done. Great camera for commercial work. Great camera for fashion ads, things like that. If you're doing that kind of stuff, that might be the camera you need and the route you're going to want to go. And another one is going to be Timecode. If you're shooting narrative stuff, documentary stuff where it really is important to sync sound, having internal timecode in the camera is kind of a big deal. Being able to sync jam with your sound mixer. For those of you who don't know, the sound mixer might have a device called a timecode sync, where they can actually sync the camera and their mixer so that the time codes on both of them match identically. If they match identically to the frame, you can put that into your software, your editing software, have it sync up by the time code, and everything will be locked. Always, always, always. It's important that you check this and you be aware of it. On sets, you'll see a lot of times you'll hear the audio mixer or your sound mixer saying that they need a jam sync audio, and they'll be checking the camera. You'll hear operators reading back a time code to the sound mixer, just making sure it hasn't slipped. But that's one of the things that you may need when purchasing a camera, and you may need to be aware of that and whether that's important for you or not. Another thing you're going to want to be aware of is workflow. Workflow is really important. Understanding, like, can my computer handle what I'm filming? Is this going to be too much, you know? You may be on a Mac that you bought in the early 2000s and you're thinking about buying a red Raptor and you want to shoot all 8K. yeah, you're gonna kill your machine with that. So you're gonna really want to know what you're doing and what your workflow is gonna look like in post. Can you handle it? Do you have enough space and storage? A lot of filmmakers, this is a problem I hear with them. It's just the media. Oh, I shoot on this and it takes up so much space. Yeah, that's something you have to consider. That's something you have to think about. We love the Sonys. They really are efficient when it comes to space. They don't take up a lot. They don't. It doesn't feel like the media is too much. We've shot with some other cameras that feel like the media is massive, and that's not great. For us here at the studio, we have fixes for that and workarounds with that. I'll probably be doing a video pretty soon about that on how to store large amounts of media. We here at the studio, we shoot a lot. Every single week we're shooting films, we're shooting shorts, we're shooting client stuff. It's really important that we save all that. So I'll probably do a video pretty soon on that and how we save all of our stuff. But that is something to consider when you're filming or when you're purchasing one of these cameras, is what's your post workflow gonna look like and what do you need in that post workflow? All right. And my last big tip and takeaway from this episode when choosing your cinema camera, and that's gonna be just rent and try a camera out before you do it and buy it. Don't invest in it. I mean, these things cost as much as a car. You wouldn't buy a car without test driving it. So don't buy one of these cameras without testing them out. Reach out to the manufacturers, reach out to rental houses, reach out to people. I am sure someone will let you borrow one for free or let you come in and test one out. If you're here in downtown Los Angeles, you want to test out the FX6 and FX3, reach out to me and I'll set something up here in the studio. I'm always doing demos for people. It's mostly lenses, but if anyone ever wants to test out a camera, I'm more than willing to set it up for them and we'll film something. We'll set up some lights, we'll set up some backdrops, and we'll test it out and see what these cameras can do. So before you go out and buy that camera, make sure to do your research, look into it, really think about what you want. I hope I was able to help you out with today. We didn't talk about any of the specific cameras because there's so many of them out there, the manufacturers, but the big manufacturers in the industry are gonna be Sony, Arri, Canon, Red, and then now Fuji has their new Eterna camera, which is a large sensor camera. I could see that being popular in documentary work, commercial work. We'll see what happens. The price is quite right on that camera, so we'll see if it becomes a popular camera. But at the time, these are the really big ones that most people are using, and it is up to you to figure out which ecosystem you want to get into or not. Don't listen to me at all. Buy all the cameras. That's my dream, is that I could just have all of them. I not live in any ecosystem, that this place just be teeming with cameras, that I have Sonys, Arris, Reds, everything, Blackmagic cameras even. All of them. I want them all, love them all. They're all fantastic. So if you haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. We've got a lot of fun videos coming up your way. We're gonna have some more tips and tutorials, some new series coming your way. There's gonna be some stuff on the Backlot that's gonna be changing a little bit. So stay tuned, we got some exciting announcements. And from all of us at the Wild 7 Studios Backlot, we really appreciate you and see you next time.